Okay, so much movement on stage. It's like a high school graduation ceremony. And we are going to keep that up with 6 valedictorians in our second lightning talk session who are each going to come up and talk for up to 5 minutes, staying on time and keeping the audience riveted into our last coffee break. There will not be time for questions. The speakers will introduce themselves. And without further ado, let's get going.
I can promise time, but not riveting. I'm Glen Berman. I'm presenting on behalf of this much larger team, includes folks whose name you can see on the screen over here. We're working together on a project that is called AI as Infrastructure. We launched this actually at Fantastic Futures last year. There are 2 problems that we are trying to respond to. The first, which we've learned about through a series of workshops we've been running this year, is that practitioners in the GLAM sector, we observe that designing holistic evaluations of AI technologies is really rather challenging. And the challenges here lie first in the ways in which many AI technologies reach the GLAM sector, either as decomposed AI components, so like an open source AI model, or as black boxed commercial software products. In the first, decomposed AI components can be evaluated easily enough against accuracy or performance benchmarks, but these may only have a loose relationship to real world performance, as we know. Meanwhile, in the second, commercial AI software systems are often very costly to evaluate, difficult to compare to each other, and often functionally opaque, which means these foreclose possibilities of reproducible, transparent, or open evaluations. The second problem is that across the GLAM sector, we have few standards or incentives in place for reporting and publishing evaluation results. This means that each time we find a GLAM sector organisation goes to do an evaluation, they feel that they're often starting from scratch. So there's 2 impacts on this problem. The first is that for GLAM organisations who want to make informed AI decisions, doing so is quite difficult. And secondly, for researchers and for the general public who are expected to be end users of AI technologies adopted by GLAM organisations, it's difficult to make informed decisions about appropriate use of those technologies because they rarely have access to information about specific systems setup, limitations, or evaluation. So our solution to these problems is to develop an evaluation reference model for the GLAM sector. Our hope is that this will be a reference point for GLAM organisations and researchers to make it easier to design holistic evaluations, find and access many of the incredible evaluation tools and frameworks that folks in this room have already developed, and enable reporting of evaluation results in a way that's more structured and standardised. So the reference model has 3 components. First are a set of principles we've developed through workshops with GLAM sector organisations, which are designed to guide the design of evaluations of AI systems or AI components to meet the specific needs and specific kind of socio-political commitments of GLAM sector organisations. The second are some technical tools for conducting evaluations. In particular, we've built an open source harness called Atlas that enables, to the fullest extent we think possible, transparent and reproducible evaluations of large language models. So here you can see a recording of Atlas in action. In this case, we've implemented Atlas using the 1901 Hansard records from Australia, New Zealand, and the UK. And the key feature of the system is the test target, which you can see on the far left of the screen, which makes transparent as much of the technology stack and specific configuration as possible, and enables each component within that stack to be independently evaluated. The configurability of this test target enables design of evaluations that even might work on the level of the system as a whole, where the evaluation goal is to, say, learn something about how, in this case, an LLM and RAG system performs on Hansard data, or at the level of system components, where the evaluation goal is to learn something about, say, the impact or the relative merit of one open source model versus another. Crucially, as you can start to see now, Atlas enables collection of very rich interaction data and user feedback, which can be used in evaluation activities and to develop new organisational specific benchmarks for AI systems or components. And finally, we've developed a flexible template for reporting evaluation results, which aligns with the principles we've identified for guiding evaluation design and can be used alongside Atlas to design evaluation activities, consider potential limitations of these activities, and report the findings. So our hope is that over time, the evaluation template for reporting evaluation results may develop into a community-owned and maintained standard, perhaps even with a shared repository of existing evaluation reports that covers a range of shared AI use cases and components. And so if any of this work is of interest to you, you can find links to all of our resources on Zenodo. I'm sorry I don't have a QR code, but please do get in touch as well. We're particularly interested in having conversations with people who may be designing AI evaluations over the coming year, and where we might have an opportunity to experiment with documenting the evaluation results and setup. That's it. Thank you.
So hi everyone, I'm Maribel Hidalgo Urbaneja. 2 weeks ago, I started a new job at King's College London. I'm working now on the Liverhume Center for Slavery in War, but this was the work I was doing before those 2 weeks. It was the project Mobile Subjects Contrapuntal Modernisms was led by Carleton University in Ottawa, Canada. And I was associated with the University of the Arts London and got support from the Digital Skills for the Answer Humanities Network. It's known as the DISCA network here in the UK. I wanted to provide some context on my background so you get a better idea of where I come from. So in this project, I was focused on database design, knowledge representation, link open data. I was also doing a little bit of work with web management. And what I'm presenting today is sort of for me, it was like an introduction or an approximation to AI without having like a highly technical background. And it was something to see if it could improve our research processes. So basically the main aim of the project is to trace how artists from the Global South or the decolonizing world moved through key colonial and artistic centers, especially London and Paris during the 20th century. The main reason why the project came about is because most historical accounts of modernism and contemporary art have focused on the North Atlantic. And while there's been growing research on modern art in Asia, Africa, and Latin America, these histories are often treated as additions to European history rather than as forces that challenge those Eurocentric perspectives. And our project as how these narratives can intersect or even disrupt traditional Eurocentric views, as I said. At the core of the project, there is an event-based database model upon the CDOC CRM that helps art historians find links between artists who were showing work in similar exhibitions in Paris and London. They were also getting some training in artist studios in those two cities, and were also attending art schools and academies in the two cities. And with this way of looking at data sets, we are trying to find blind spots. I'm going to show you in this slide the core structured data sets that we've used to date. You can see some of those contain data about artists from specific geographical backgrounds or regions. They look at both artistic training activity in our schools, or they look at artist studios or exhibitions histories. There are other data sets that just that cover multiple regions, but they are just like focused on artistic trainings and artistic schools. And once we build this database, we want to continue growing it, and researchers need to consult additional archival sources or unstructured data from catalogs and archival records as well. For this reason, I thought that name entity recognition could be a good way to understand the content that we could get from those unstructured data sources, because we will be seeing if, the people, the places, the organizations, even the names of the exhibitions and the events that we could get from those sources, and that would facilitate our historians' information-seeking processes. But you probably know that this is a complicated task when there are like many data sets with high-quality data to be able to use that properly. And for these tasks, given my knowledge, I decided to use Spychal, the Python library, which is quite approachable. And it offers, okay. Shall I continue or shall I stop?
It would be a wonderful wrap up.
Okay. So, you can see the performance between the two packages using one English and then multilingual. I found that the labels were different across the two packages. The multilingual package performed slightly better. I made the analysis with some artist names, and I found the multilingual package was able to find some specific artist name, although it wasn't performing pretty well at all. And this gave us basically the reason to, fine-tune Spychal or do just customized training with it. And in case you want to know more about the project, I'm sorry about the time.
Good afternoon, I'm Martin Kalfatovic. I'm the Managing Director for the IIIF Consortium, and I'm here with the rest of the IIIF staff, Caitlin Perry, our Communications and Community Manager, and Glen Robeson, our Technical Coordinator. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how we want to maybe think about refactoring the existing IIIF AI ML group. So, how many people have not heard of IIIF? Excellent. Jonathan. Okay. We'll get back to you, Jonathan. I should also mention we have a significant portion of our executive committee here, too. I think well over a quorum. So again, IIIF, the first I is I for global. The third I is interoperability, which means things are mutually usable. The F is for the API Software Community Framework, and then the second I is not just for image anymore, but it's for 3D, AV, and a whole host of other networked resources. So again, what is IIIF? Again, it's a standard that amplifies digital content. It's also a model for presenting and annotating content, such as image, audio, visual files, and doing much more. And I'm sorry, Mike, but our whale skull's not moving at the moment. Oh, there it goes. But IIIF is also a community, and that's where we're getting sort of to the point of the talk. Again, there's over 3,000 active community users on Slack, monthly community calls, an online meeting coming up on January 27th of this year. Please register. Also, an in-person community event annually at our annual conference. Bottom picture is the University of Leeds this previous June. Thanks to Claire Knowles, again, for hosting that. And then in June of 2026, we'll be gathering in the Netherlands in 3 locations, the showcase being in Amsterdam, the main conference being in Leiden, and then our workshops will be in The Hague. So again, lots of different community groups, but I want to specifically focus on the AI/ML community group. So again, we have the community group that was formed in 2018, and then the sort of part of the charge was, though the IIIF API specifications were not designed for machine learning applications, they have nevertheless proven valuable in recent years as applications like computer vision, classifier training, and automated tagging have become increasingly popular in the cultural heritage space. So here's the full charge with a whole lot of bullet points that I'm going to go through very carefully one by one at a later date. So what I wanted to know is, how does AI and IIIF intersect? So of course I asked AI where that intersection would be and to give me a visualization, and this is what Claude came up with. For the second one, I said, well, could you use the IIIF colors, both of them, not just one of them? So I got this. And I said, well, it needs to be a little bit more interactive. So they gave me that. And I'm sorry, Ines, but that's the logo, according to Claude, for AI for Life. So this really didn't answer my question. So what I want to sort of answer is, again, where is the intersections of IIIF and AI? Where do the conversations around IIIF and AI occur? What are the channels those occur in? How do we build effective communications channels so that we aren't having silos between our two communities? So for that, what I would like to do looking forward is identify any gaps. So these are sort of the summary of the charter that I want to look at for the coming year. Identify gaps in tooling, consider the possibilities and implications of representing descriptive metadata through AI in IIIF objects, promote reusability and interoperability of IIIF-related data sets and outputs, and importantly, raise the awareness of IIIF among the AI community as a source of data and as a destination for AI analysis. So as part of that, what we're going to do in the coming year is reformulate the IIIF AI ML community charter, cross-post and interact more closely with the AI for LAM communities. Also looking at MCN, because we don't want to forget about the large museum community. And then again, run more workshops like we did last year at the AI for LAM conference, and again this year when we did the one with Mike Appleby from Yale on metadata things. So thank you, and get in touch. Here I asked again Claude to draw a version of my avatar, which was that. But this was much better when the human did it. Here's the QR code to get in touch with the IIIF community page, and click on that so I can see if the actual stats work on the QR code generator. Thank you very much.
Where's Tom? I see you. Hello, I'm Jason Clark. I work at Montana State University. I run a department that's focused on research analytics, optimization, and data services. So my data sets tend to be something a little different than the data sets we've been mostly talking about. When we think about collections, those are people, places, and things of the university. That's kind of my data set. So I'm here to talk a little bit about if I could get reasoning out of small language models. These are up to 2.5 gig, I think is the one I settled on, because I wanted to see what else, I want to solve a problem. And this is the problem. Our interactions, our search interactions have changed, right? November 30th, 2022, this happens. And even further, we have a collapse of referrals. So our content creators, if you notice this, the top right here, 41,000 crawls to one referral. What can we do? What can we do as agencies, as LAMs, trying to navigate this new information environment? So one of the things I took inspiration from is the idea of speculative and critical design. And really what this group was doing, this is Anthony Dunn and Fiona Ray, they look at how to rethink the human-computer interface. And they build technological artifacts. And that's what I've seen today, all this week from us. New ways of thinking, of searching, of being in this search environment. And so I started to think about artifactual interfaces and what we could do. It's a very simple prototype. Again, using a small model, instructional model, usually just following directions, but seeing if I could get it to kind of show its work. So the question is, what's precision agriculture? I label it clearly. It has a series of actions. It focuses its observation, and then it moves through to final clear actions. It cycles, comes up with an answer, and it gives you a trust signal. So when you're trying to be an advocate outside of this world, I love you all. This week has been a balm. It was wonderful to be in the room with people who believe in this stuff, because I don't always travel in those circles. So when you are able to show that prototype, I'll talk a little bit about how I did that. So small sustainable models, but you can become an advocate. You can move people to believe. That's what I want us to take away from part of what I'm talking about. Small models really work the context engineering, the system prompt itself. Limit the sources. You saw in that there's a contextual call to Wikipedia. Then there's a small data set source that it uses. In this case, it was scholarly profiles at my university. And really, what I want to talk about is the way that, we've talked about chain of thought. I've seen lots of ways we've talked about context and prompt conditioning. But this cycle is really what is the secret sauce. So it's the react cycle, reasoning and act. And it follows a pattern of thought, action, observation. And it moves through that cycle as it's trying to find an answer. So this is a working artifact. The code's available. It's in my slides. I will show it in a moment. But I just want to take away that this is one of those experiments that if we're trying to be advocates, if we're trying to build believers outside of this room, this is the kind of work that we can bring to them. Okay, this is how I've used it to help people learn about the abilities of this technology and the downfalls. You can take this system prompt. This is also available. But you also saw a lot of us talking about where do we move into new environments? How do we get into the flow of people that need or are using our information? So here's the moment you realize once you build a prototype like this, it kind of cascades into a tool environment. So you can move from a real robust prototype to an MCP, which is what you're seeing here. And this is the same tool and data set inside of Claude. We've seen that this week as well. And again, I'm able to introduce that data set, but also those exact same trust signals about the reasons why this stuff was chosen, and even give a confidence score in that result. So think about how we build trust in these systems. And the more you break it apart, you realize they play the imitation game by keeping you in a telling interface in that without referrals. So how do we push and pull against that interface itself? That's me. No QR code, but I'm Jason Clark on Blue Sky and GitHub. Thank you.
You should just go. Hopefully they're your slides.
Hello, everyone. I'm Benjamin Hartley, and I'm head of AI and innovation at the Natural History Museum. And today I'm going to be talking about the DCMS AI Pilots program that we ran last year at the museum. So the DCMS is the UK government's Department of Culture, Media and Sports, and they awarded us $300,000 to run a program where natural history holding institutions can submit their AI ideas to my team, and we'll build a prototype for them. Speed is like paramount with this program. The whole program lasted just 6 months. And the project requirements were simple. We needed to have the data ready. It needed to have an impact beyond just that institution, so to the wider community. And it needed to be an idea that can be built in that short time scale. The 5 projects we selected were spread across the UK, a range of institution types. So we've got a regional museum, a botanic gardens, a zoo, and a range of AI problems as well. I will now give a very brief overview of each of the 5 projects. So first up, the Lyme Regis Museum. This is using an LLM to extract structured data from geology cards. These geology cards have been in use across paleontological collections since the 1970s. So solving it for the Lyme Regis Museum would solve it for all of these different institutions across the UK. Yeah, great results, just a basic LLM, ChatGPT with a sort of quite advanced prompt. The next project is for the Institute of Zoology, so that's London Zoo. And this was developing a model to identify reptile species from the skins used in handbags and shoes. And the idea here is we develop an app to be used by the border force agencies. So they can just take a photo of some shoes or a handbag that's come into the country, and they'll be able to tell the threat status of that species. A lot of the border force staff don't have that taxonomic knowledge to do that identification, so it's just to streamline that process. The data collection was quite hard. We had to go into all the different archives, go into the Met Police archive and actually digitize the objects they have in there. They've got some dark and they've got lions' heads and tiger heads and all kinds of things hidden away in the Met Police HQ they've confiscated at Heathrow. The fourth project is the National Museums Liverpool, and this is again using an LLM to generate alt text for objects in their collection. So alt text is for people with visual impairment, so they can still access the objects on their collection, and developing a large language model that can do that automatic text generation. We built an interface. The AI outputs were reviewed by a accessibility consultancy, and we made sure there was human in the loop throughout that process, because the Liverpool Museum is kind of at the nexus of the old slave trade, the British Empire, so it has a lot of very, very sensitive objects in the collection. So we had to make sure that everything was validated by a human. We also developed a project for the Royal Botanic Gardens, and that's a QA pipeline for automatically validating the outputs of their digitization work. I've got a video if it's working. This is uploading a image of a herbarium sheet, and it's running all of those AI checks to make sure it passes the digitization validation process. Last project, sorry, it's such a whirlwind this, but I hope you're following. So this was a little project we developed for the Royal Agricultural University in Cirencester. Okay, 1 minute. And it's an AI chatbot, and it's developed in the persona of Samuel Pickworth Woodward, who was the first professor of geology and botany at the RAU. And so it's allowing users and members of the public to explore the RAU collection, and it's talking to the visitors in the 19th century botanist style. Okay, so just to wrap up, we have 5 AI pilot projects, all developed successfully in those 6 weeks. We're currently writing up the final reports. And what we're trying to do is demonstrate how having a centralized AI services team can roll out AI across the UK. We have a team of specialists, of natural language processing people, computer vision experts, large language model. So we have that an AI centre of excellence, so people can apply to us for their projects, and we will help them build it. Thank you very much. And Ben Hartley, please email me if you'd like more information.
Hello, I'm going to be very fast because I definitely want a coffee, and I imagine you too. My name is Rafie, Cecilia. I am a lecturer at King's College London, which has been overrepresented today, and an affiliate at the King's Institute for Artificial Intelligence. I am going to talk about a bit what the comment before was talking about, the need to consider humans and who we are doing this work for and with. My research in general explores affordances of technology and now of AI for both museum visitors but also museum professionals who identify as disabled. And what I'm presenting today is very much the pilot stage for a project that is going to start in January about the hopes, concerns and expectations of people with disabilities around the application of AI in museums. AI, we've seen it, is everywhere in the cultural sector, is very much targeting museums. And museums, especially smaller organizations, are being told and are being sold projects and applications that might increase their audience, might enhance the accessibility, might make the spaces more inclusive for people with disabilities. In most cases, this is a marketing trope. Behind the marketing, very few include disabled voices. Very much not the case in this room, but I've been to other conferences, and that has been the biggest marketing trope. The systems replicate old patterns where accessibility is an afterthought. At best, happens a user experience testing rather than embedded from the very beginning of the project. These results, again, like in a replication of old patterns in technology that is imposed on people rather than developed with them. We know that the opposite works better. This is an app that Microsoft launched in 2017 in the UK, earlier in the US. It's called Seeing AI, not specifically designed for museums, but I tested it in museums for my PhD. It's widely adopted by many vision impaired people. It was developed by a blind engineer, and that's the reason why it works. A lot of the functionalities that Seeing AI had in 2017 are some of the most popular functions that we already use for things like ChatGPT and other LLMs. This model shows that accessibility is not charity and cannot be charity, but rather that effective design is born by, from lived experience, and authentic inclusion offers a better experience for everybody. I've started to collect some data. I have about, last time I checked, it was about 150 responses from people who identify as disabled. They identify as AI regular users and also regular museum visitors, which quite wide labels. And more than 60% of the people are optimistic about the AI use for access. So there's some data on the slide. There's alt text that can be seen if you want to access the presentation later on. So there is real potential. Disabled audiences do see the real potential for application. However, the same cohort, the same group of people expressed serious doubts and concerns. Over 90% cited exclusion from design as their top concern, even before environmental issues. They worry that AI tools that are built without them are going to misrepresent their needs, and this is just going to erode the trust even further. Museums are already not seen as inclusive institutions, and doing AI wrong very much is going to alienate these audiences even more. We just can't get it wrong. There's no way that this can happen. Respondents call for real participation, real co-creation, and not just tokenistic consultation, especially not at the end. Many ask very much for leadership role and to recognize that disabled people are innovators. And that's what we need to do. We need to embrace diversity as driver for innovation. We need to ensure that people with disabilities are represented at every stage of the development of the product that are often sold as for them. And we need to make sure that accessibility is at the forefront of all the agendas. I'm very keen to talk more about it. And if anybody wants to collaborate, we're looking for collaborators at the moment. Thank you very much and enjoy coffee. And thank you for the transcriber. You've done an amazing work.
A big round of applause for all of the lightning talkers who spoke very fast and very effectively. And I think we have coffee now, and we'll reconvene at 4 o'clock.